there's a secret to dog training that only a few elite trainers know about, and it's the missing piece that could take your dog's training to the next level. The Canine Cooperative is an exclusive community of dog owners that know the secret, and they are using it to achieve greatness with their dogs. The cooperative has videos on dog psychology, leash handling, stranger danger, and solutions for common issues. Use promo code PODCAST to save 50% on your first month. For less than $10, you can start training your dog today. Try it out. You have nothing to lose and your sanity to gain. Enjoy the show.
Time again for Talking Dogs with Ian Grant, owner of Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. It's the show that delves into the training, socializing, behavior, nutrition, and wellness of your dog. And brought to you by Guy's Farm and Yard with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. And we're back with the trainer, Ian Grant. And this week, repetitions are your best friend. Repetitions are your best friend. See what
I see what you did there.
Okay, good. So why is repetition so important when dealing with and bringing up your dog?
You know what's interesting is a lot of times if I have a client that doesn't or isn't able to put their dog into the back of the car, meaning that the dog won't jump up there on its own, I normally will ask them, do you have a few minutes to work on this? Yes. And so over the course of 6, 7, 8 attempts, the dog still is not getting it, but is showing progress, like they're learning. We're making headway here. And then finally, when the dog does jump up into the car, the owner usually says, "Great, thanks, that was amazing, we got it done." Meanwhile, we've failed 6 or 7 times, but what we've done is succeeded once.
Right.
And then,
well, isn't that all we have to do?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right, is that, well, if the dog understands it just that once, then we should be good to go from here on out.
Yeah.
But if we teach a kid what 2 + 2 is for the first time, we would never expect them to know it by heart for the rest of their life if we just show it to them once.
Right.
And this is where the repetition comes into play.
Right. So even though they've succeeded that one time, even though it took them 8 tries to finally get in there, so is this something you have to work on when you don't necessarily have to have your dog in the vehicle? Do you do training sessions, practice with them at other times?
We always say the best time to work on something is when you don't need it. It's like dress rehearsal before the big show. And I think what we have to understand is that we need to put in the repetitions. We can't be afraid of the work because that work gives us access to all the success that we need. It also gives the dog a chance to understand what you are trying to communicate too. Because if we just do it once, a lot of times what that can do is it creates a little confusion, and we don't want to do that because if we just do everything once for our dog, how would we ever expect them to learn?
So why would they be confused? So say I tell Tika into the car, and in the car she goes, and shouldn't I be done by then?
Yeah, if it works now, you're good. But for the person that struggles 6 or 7 times and then does it once, the process could become fail 6 or 7 times, succeed on the 8th.
That's what the dog is thinking?
And then it could lead to that. Oh, I've seen it happen.
You've seen dogs fail intentionally so they can get it right the last time?
I wouldn't say fail intentionally. They just
But they don't give the effort.
Yeah, that's the only pattern that they recognize. The flip side of this is sometimes repetitions are negative. Meaning,
how so?
Well, let's say you take Tika for a walk, and every time you take her for a walk, she just pulls everywhere. So you're practicing this repetition of daily walking, but she's pulling. But to her, she's doing only what she's allowed to do. And in this situation, the repetition of doing something negative is the reinforcer, and then it just becomes that bad pattern over time.
So in other words, she gets away with it all the time. Every time I go and she pulls, she says, "Oh, this must be the way to do it," but I think she knows really that it's not the case. But
for sure,
you have to actually train her to do that.
Yeah, I've seen people walk almost like they're on a 45-degree angle backwards while their dog is pulling on them so hard. But really what we're saying here is that there's a positive and negative version of this, and we can't be afraid to just keep repeating things until it becomes fluid for our dog, until they can look at you like, yeah, I got it. I see what you mean here. And make it fun, too. If you're trying to work them up into the back of your car or something, make it fun. Have a blast. We don't have to be very stoic and non-emotional about the whole thing. Yeah. So have fun with it.
But once they get it, do you have to still keep training them afterwards? I mean, can they kind of like in other things, they kind of slip back and they kind of go back into bad habits. You have to kind of remind them sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, like with the car thing, if you practice when you don't need it and you're able to be successful, great. I may head back out in a couple hours just to do it again, and then the next day do it again, and then maybe take them for a ride later on the second or third day, and by that time you should be on your way as long as you're consistent about it.
Yeah, but then when you start going into the car and they're not going back in again, then you got to reinforce it.
You got to reset and start
over. It's progress.
Yes.
Back with our question from the doggy bag in just a moment here on Talking Dogs.
Roaming is a Los Angeles-based premium lifestyle brand that is motivated by nature. Roaming features high-quality, earth-friendly dog products made from renewable and natural materials like their bio-based and 100% compostable biodegradable dog poop bags. These bags really are awesome. I've been using their bags for a few months now, and I love the durability, the way they feel, and the fact that they are good for the earth. They also have a special discount for our listeners. Use code VermontDog to get 20% off your first purchase, including 20% off the first 3 orders if you sign up for one of their poop bag subscriptions. They also have some beautiful leather leashes made right here in the USA. You can check them out at roaming.com. That's ROMNG.com. Are you looking for gear that can keep up with your active and adventurous dog? Look no further than Synology Warehouse. They specialize in equipping the modern canine with distinguished, overbuilt gear that's built to last from home to horizon. From premium collars and leashes to rugged outdoor gear, they have everything you need to keep your dog comfortable and safe no matter where your adventures take you. I've been using their Biothane slip leashes for months now, and I love them. They have a nice feel, a good grip, and they clean very easily. Use coupon code Vermont to receive 10% off your purchase. Head over to Synology Warehouse on Etsy today and give your dog the gear they deserve. Synology Warehouse, overbuilt gear that's built to last from home to horizon.
Back with Talking Dogs with Ian Grant from Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. Find out more about his facility and programs by going to VermontDogBoardingAndBehavior.com. And our question this morning, Ian, is what can I do about my dog who doesn't seem to have an off switch? I've been looking for Tikas for 11 years. Never found it. He has a high level of obedience, but doesn't seem to know how to settle down.
A lot of times these dogs just go, 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 go. In my experience, now you have to remember too, the dogs that I see are the dogs that have problems.
That's why you're seeing them.
Yes, and I don't have somebody that comes in and says, "Hey, my dog is great. I want to come see you," and we don't do anything.
Yeah, so it's almost like a social event more than anything else.
Right. So in this situation, when I see somebody come in with a dog with a high level of obedience and the dog can't settle down, I just find that they're always looking for the next command. They're always waiting to be told what to do next. And if you think of that in human terms of, imagine if we raised our kids that way, where they just always would stare at us until we told them to do something.
We'd have to have these lists of things that have to keep them going.
Can you imagine? And it would just, no wonder they would be nonstop after a while.
And we'd be exhausted.
I shudder to think how I would handle something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. My opinion of something like this that's happening is that this dog hasn't ever learned how to just settle and be calm. And sometimes even ignoring a dog like this, letting them figure it out on their own that they can go sit down, or if they need help with what you want them to do, I would lead them over to the dog bed or whatever. And I wouldn't say a word to this dog because they're so keyed in on everything that we say. I want to be as quiet as I possibly can, as calm as I can be, put that dog on a dog bed, and every time it gets up, I want to put it back and just let it and just teach it that it can just settle and relax. A lot of times when I run into a dog like this, I have to assess myself and I have to make sure I stay calm, because when you see a dog that is just go, 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 it's hard not to soak up that energy too.
So there's never a point where they just settle on their own? Do some dogs, can they just settle on their own? Say, they have to run out of energy sometime. They settle in their own bed. I mean, how long can a dog keep going?
I've had dogs at daycare in the past that don't stop from the time that they get dropped off until the time that they go home.
So those are the type that you get to pre-settle.
Yeah, they don't have the ability to self-regulate.
Yeah.
Meaning, I get tired, I'm going to go lie down on a bed. And those are the dogs that we would have to put in a crate to help them settle down, put them in a kennel, tie them off to a doorknob so they can still be in the area. But yeah, sometimes if they don't if they're not taught how to settle young at an early age, they may have a hard time as they get older.
But they can learn it eventually, I would think.
Yeah.
Especially if they're getting older, they don't have as much energy.
Yeah, they learn it with repetition.
Repetition. Right. If you have a question for Ian, okay, we got that down. You can email him directly to info@VermontDogBoardingAndBehavior.com. Next week, knowing how to read dog food nutrition labels. Yeah, that's very important because, as we know, one dog food does not fit all, and some are very good and some of them are not so good.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop a bomb next week with this, too. So.
Oh, no, another one.
Another one, yeah.
More anticipation next week on our program here on Talking Dogs with Ian Grant, brought to you by Guy's Farm and Yard, with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. And for the trainer Ian Grant, I'm Roland LaJoy, and we are Talking Dogs.